Okay, today I want to take a look at the powers that be. So, of course, we have the world governments, right? But here I want to look at what shapes, what directs the world governments. So, the true powers that be that are sculpting human civilization. And is it money? Is it like the religious forces? Is it old world power and wealth? Is it none of those things? Is it maybe just chaos um, and and I guess will that comes out of chaos? Let's just take a look at the powers that be. So the root card is the Knight of Swords, which is a soldier, right? And I guess at the end of the day, that probably is the powers. Um, at least that's how they would enforce things. So our main card is Four of Wands. And let's see what we got. So the Four of Wands over the top of the Knight of Swords. The Four of Wands is a shared commitment to a stable, harmonious home and environment that happens in the Four of Wands. So here we have a shared commitment to stability that is sort of resting on top of soldiers. Now, when we sort of look at what runs up into the Four of Wands and where it goes, so we get a Two of Cups over here, and the Two of Cups is this is the magic that is in a moment, right? It's like being open to the moment, and it's very harmonious. These two emotional energies that come together and they sort of link in a moment. Now, this looks very much like a very good relationship reading. I mean, if you take the Knight of Swords out of it, at least. So this would be like the first date. This would be the shared commitment to the harmonious home. And here, each of these people sort of puts their own shit aside so they can make a greater commitment to this stable structure, right? And then eventually this moves forward into the Ten of Pentacles, which is inheritance. So this is the stability that lasts longer than the person. Um, if it were an actual couple, right, this would be like the house and the land and the money that they would leave to the people who come after them. Now, this is interesting because this is showing the current powers that be as basically these two different things, these two figures, almost like a couple. Um, Now let's just look at what these two things are. It's obviously a union of two different things resting on the top of soldiers. But let's just take a peek at what these two different things are. Okay, so we get the Star and the Knight of Wands. Now, that really is interesting. Um, it, at its core, the Star, not much different than this Two of Cups, would almost be like the magic in a moment. But the Star is showing like this blessing. If this were a person, this would be when the universe harmonizes with your personal desires and wishes, and everything turns out really well. And the Knight of Wands is impulse. And this is like doing a thing again in a moment, having the impulse to like leap and I mean, I don't exactly know how to say this. So here is sort of the blessing energy, and it moves directly into the pouncing, or like um, the energy of the Knight of Wands, the impulsive action. So we have harmonization and impulsive action as the two things that come together. Now, I'm going to look deeper into this because that doesn't necessarily make any. I mean, it does make sense as far as people, right? So, the powers that be, if we bring this down onto an individual level, like what a person could do to be the powers that be, right? Or the powers that be of your own life, I guess, would be the way to say that. And it would sort of be looking at what the universe gives you and making impulsive, quick, fucking decisive action based upon that, not being afraid to leap. Now, again, this is a knight. So we do have another card that could theoretically be um, translated as a soldier. Looking deeper into this star, because what I was assuming that I would see is like money and government. Like some of the cards that I assumed would show up are not really showing up here. So let's just look deeper into this star and try to see what it is that we're actually looking at. The thing that's really sticking out to me is literally the water. Um, Now, it could be the star itself because this is the star. So, what would that mean? Um, the star in this case, it, I mean, maybe like astrology, right? So, the movement of the stars and that sort of larger galactic wheel, maybe that's one of the powers. And this could be like impulsively moving and just moving quickly when the time is right, that shows from all of that astrological movement. That doesn't feel like it is true to me, but this is the star. It's not the water. This card is the star. But as I look at it, the thing that's really sticking out to me is like the flowing water. Huh. And when we look at the Knight of Wands, it's like the wings, water and wings together. I still really wouldn't be able to translate that any better either. Like, what the fuck does that mean? So let's just pull another card on this star, because what we're trying to find out is the two powers that unite to make this commitment. And again, so here we get the Temperance card. Okay, and let's look at this Knight of Wands. Like, what the fuck does this actually mean? And we get the Fool. So truly, I mean, that's weird because again we have water coming out of a container. Water coming out of a container. Now, this is literally the water. This is the water that we drink. Um, Weird, right? Isn't that fucking weird? I think it's weird. And again, we have the pool. These cards are very similar. We've got the pool here. We've got the pool here. Now, in the Temperance card, the toe is dipping into the pool. In the star, that's not necessarily happening. But literally, this is containers of water. So, the water that we drink combined with impulse. Both of these cards are about that. The Knight of Wands is the impulsive action. The Fool is also impulsive action, but this is having no fear and no expectation. Again, bounding into the unknown. Both of these do that. That is fucking weird, I think. So, containers of water and bounding, fearlessly into the unknown. That is on the top of the Knight of Swords, which is like the guard dog, the soldier, basically, the territorial defender. And here, this looks like these two energies come together like a couple, you know? First date, then the shared commitment leading to the inheritance. Now, okay. I would love to hear any ideas about this. Now, I am going to pull one more just to see, because this is obviously looking at containers of water, right? So let's just see if we can clarify this. Here, the chariot. So the chariot is very much directed energy. It's about having a specific goal and moving toward that goal. What I was kind of thinking about when I pulled this card is basically is the water being tampered with. We get the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is like fear and anxiety. And maybe the water is being tampered with to cause more of this, because there's definitely a lot of that in the world. But this could also just mean, no, you're like thinking and worrying about nothing. Okay, well, containers of water, impulsive action. Now, I can bring this back into our personal lives, right? And I guess looking at this as how to become one of the truly sculpting energies of this world. Now, if I bring this down to a witchcraft level, which is generally what I would do, this would be like a toast, right? Like having a container of something and blessing it, and then following that with action to whatever it is that you were trying to bless. Taking the energy into yourself here, after blessing the fluid, and then with that, the knowledge that you have been blessed, and then like shooting off into whatever it is that you're trying to do. And the Fool, this, I mean, there is also the water present in the Fool, but after receiving the blessing from the water, the Fool is basically saying, like, everything is brand new. Once you have that blessing in you, it's a whole new ball game. So no fear, no expectations, and just bounding into whatever it is that you're trying to do. But this is really interesting. I would love to hear what anybody thinks about this, or if you see some angles that you want to see this looked at that I haven't done here. Feel free to let me know. And if you have any requests for any readings that you would like to see, feel free to let me know that as well. That's what we have for now. And peace.